there guys, Ken here, your Thrifty Apprentice, and in today's video we are going to be creating a master board. So here is the prototype master board I created before I started shooting this video, so I can show you guys what I am talking about. Now you may ask yourself, what is a master board? If you do not know, in the simplest terms, think of it as a really big background. So master board is a really big piece of mixed media work that you create that is going to be cut down to be used in other projects like tags in your journals, card fronts for your greeting cards, backgrounds for your mixed media pieces, journal covers for your journals. There are so many different areas you can apply a motherboard, a master board to. Now, I'm going to do a little different today though, guys, because we're going to be creating a water soluble master board. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't videos out there on this. I really didn't search to see. But I do know that most videos I watch don't typically create master boards from water soluble products simply because of the fact that they will reactivate in water. Well, we are going to throw a little wrench in that plan, and we are going to be sealing the master boards so that there's not anything to worry about. With that said, I don't typically, or most people don't typically just run around with their paper products in the rain or pouring water on them. So I'm not really worried about that, but just in case, we will be sealing, and I'm going to be sealing with something really thrifty and economical, and we'll get to that. So here is what I created. So you will know, this was done on Artist Loft. This was done on, where's that pad? This was done on, okay, I can't find the pad right now. Wait, yes I can. This was done on Artist Loft. A watercolor pad. This is the Artist Level 2. Now you guys have heard me say this many different times. Artist Loft has different levels for their products: 1, 2, and 3. 1 being student, 2 being artist, 3 being expert. The only thing I've ever seen in 3, their expert line would be paper, but I'm not sure if they produce other products like that. Their paints are in 1, if I'm not mistaken, which is typically why most people have such an issue with Artist Loft paints. Just FYI, in case you wanted to know. This paper is 11 by 15, so that's what I created this particular master board on. Now, the one we're going to be creating today is going to be a little bit smaller. I'm going to be working on 9 by 12, and instead of watercolor paper, and this was a 140-pound cold press, I'm going to be working on Bristol board. Now, this Bristol board is Master's Touch, and we're going to be using a lot of Master's Touch products in this video, FYI. This Bristol board is Master's Touch 9 by 12, 103 pounds, 280 GSM. This is smooth Bristol board, and that's what I'm going to be using. All right, so the video will speed up from this point as we go through the creation process. It won't move too fast for you to get the information that you need, but I am going to speed it up so that it won't be too long of a process. So we're going to go ahead and jump in. In the water soluble products that we're going to be using, we are going to be using paints. We're going to be using watercolor pencils. We are going to be using water soluble inks. We're going to be using spray watercolor. This is Ken Oliver liquid watercolor mixed in these. I used to make these out of Crayola watercolor pencils and let the pencils dissolve down, but I didn't have time, so I just made some real quick ones out of Ken Oliver liquid watercolors. And we're also going to be using Craftmart Dye Ink Pads. Now, I don't know if you guys know this, but if you're a card maker or a stamper, you might. If you take an ink pad and you were to press it down on like, say, an acrylic block or like a tile, you can actually spray water in that and mix it and use that water mixture to paint with. Therefore, a lot of dye ink pads do have a water solubility to it. So everything that we're going to be using will be water soluble. Oh, and the brand of paint and watercolor pencils are going to be Master's Touch. Not that that matters. If you decide to do this, you can use any brand of water soluble products that you have. You can use watercolor crayons. You can use your ink markers. You can use anything that's water soluble, because again, I'm going to be showing you a really quick thrifty way to kind of seal it at home. Not archival, but it's still a thrifty way to do it. All right, let's get to it. All right, guys, this part of the video shouldn't take too long at all, but like I told you, we're starting with a 9x12 piece of Bristol board. I decided to switch to Bristol board instead of watercolor paper because it doesn't seem to be as absorbent. Couldn't get that out. It works more like cardstock than, say, watercolor paper does. And I've noticed that when I do my master boards on Bristol board, they come out more vibrant. So my suggestion is definitely find you a smooth Bristol board, and this will be easy to pull off. So I started off here with the Master's Touch 48 count half pan paints in order to lay down the base color. You just saw me mix brilliant yellow, yellow ochre, and burnt sienna together in order to get that sort of goldish color, and I used that to coat the entire background. We let it dry, and now I'm grabbing Master's Touch watercolor pencils. That's right, we went from watercolor paints to watercolor pencils. And this is a technique that I've showed you guys in a lot of card videos. I'm actually using those pencils as like an ink pad. I'm using those pencils to ink up the stamp, and I'm gonna use that stamp to continue to create my pattern all over my Bristol board. Now, what you wanna do with this technique is take a little water in a spray bottle, and you're gonna spray your stamp. Now, you're gonna kind of pull it back, you know, give it a couple of inches back when you spray it, because you don't wanna saturate the stamp. You just wanna dampen it and wet it enough so that, you know, the pigment will leave the pencil lid and rub onto the stamp. And then you're gonna stamp it down. After I got through with that, I moved on to actually using Ken Oliver spray watercolors. I sprayed on red droplets, I sprayed on brown droplets until I got the desired effect that I want, knowing that I let every single layer dry before adding the additional layer. That is the trick to water soluble media masterboard creating. You need to let every single layer dry before adding the next one, so you can get the maximum amount of vibrancy out of the products that you're using. Now here I grabbed some stencils and I switched over to using those dye ink pads. Now this is Craftmart. I believe the only place you can get that particular brand is Michael's. I may be mistaken, but that's where I get mine at. So I am just taking a yellow makeup sponge. Yeah, I don't have fancy sponge daubers at all. You can get about 100 of these little things in a pack from the Dollar Tree, so they work perfectly. And I'm using that sponge and a stencil, and I'm just kind of hitting and missing the design all over the paper where I feel like it needs to be. And you'll notice that I turned that paper around, landscape, horizontal, landscape. The reason I'm doing that is because I designed two-dimensionally. I don't want the pattern on my paper to be running in just one direction. That way, when I cut the masterboard up, I can use it on many different projects and turn it any direction instead of having to, you know, specifically cut the paper one way. Now here I grabbed an additional stencil, and you saw that I kind of tested those inks out on my scratch paper there, but ultimately I ended up going with like this goldy silverish color. You don't really see it stand out a lot as I do it here, but it did add a lot of texture to the background. And when you're looking at the paper in person, you can see those little silver dots, circles. So nice, so cute. I was really liking the way that this was turning out. But I'll be honest, guys, I really like a lot of the mixed media work and papers that I do. I really, really enjoy it. It's such a stress reliever. Now here I'm using a white ink to stamp on this like sunflower, but this is more of like a silhouette stamp, and I find that they work really well with pattern paper making, masterboard making, background designs. A lot better than maybe the outline stamps where you can color them in. I really do like the silhouette stamps for this application a lot. Yeah, so I'm going to get all of those kind of stamped out, and with it being white, I had to press kind of hard to get it to show up. Of course, with a stamping pad, it would have made a lot more sense if I had something that was a little bit squishy under the paper when I was trying to stamp. It would have caused for a much better impression. All right, so now here I'm going to move on to the very final element, which is stamping on the main image for the masterboard. And I decided to go with, yes, you guessed it, my lucky old double rose stamp that I use to do the preliminary test for every set of color pencils I've ever done. I love this. It is my favorite little trusty dusty stamp, and I said, you know what, why not go with this one? So I grabbed that stamp, I grabbed some black ink from the same brand of ink. That way I could make sure that it was still, you know, something that would reactivate with water, or activate with water, or spread with water, however you want to look at it. And then I used that stamp, and I am just kind of stamping all over. Now notice I'm turning that stamp in many different directions and stamping it down. Again, I wanted that paper to be non-directional, although it did have a really big bold image on it. So yeah guys, there you go, there you have it. And that is what I did to create my masterboard. Okay friends, and there you have it. We have created a masterboard on a 9x12 piece of Bristol board or Bristol paper. Again, you can cut this up and use it for many different things, tags and journaling cards and backgrounds for the front of cards, background for the beginning of a mixed media painting. You can take it a little bit further, add more design to it, use it for interior artwork. There are so many different purposes and means behind having a masterboard. Oh, and just so you guys know, just like I did with this one, I meant to tell you how I protected it. I sprayed it with good old-fashioned hairspray. Good old-fashioned hairspray. Yes, sir, indeed. No, it's not archival. I know. But I don't expect anything that I do in my work to last 100 years. I won't be around in 100 years. So I just gave my masterboard a good coating of hairspray. You can use whatever type of hairspray you want to. I normally use Aquanet. I let it dry, then I gave it another good coat just to make sure and let it dry. And that'll help seal it. But again, I don't plan on, you know, wetting it or running around in the rain using it as an umbrella or anything like that. So it should be perfectly fine. Well, there you have it, guys. That's how you create, or that's how I created my water-soluble masterboard. There are a million ways to do this. You can use all different types of products on it. So don't be scared. Grab your products, jump in, and just create. Remember that layering is the key. And with mixed media, there is that messy, kind of ugly phase. So just keep going, and I promise you, you're going to come out with some really wonderful results. Well, hopefully you guys picked up on some tips, tricks, or techniques that'll help you out in your masterboard creation or your mixed media work. If you did, don't forget to give the video a thumbs up. Go ahead and share the video. There may be someone out there that wants to see or needs to see this information. Remember that sharing is caring. Go ahead, use the comment section. What do you guys think about this project? Have you ever made a masterboard? Have you ever made a water-soluble masterboard? Tell me what you guys would do with one. I think they would be so much fun. Maybe one day we'll do a live and create stuff out of the masterboard on the live. Let me guys know what you think about that. Don't forget to hit us up on all of the social media sites, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. You can join the Thrifty Apprentice sponsored Facebook group, Paints, Pencils, Pastels, and Markers. It is a wonderful place for anyone that is crafty or artsy. All are welcome. Yeah, let's see. Am I forgetting anything? Favorite product link in the video description, so that you guys could see some of my most recommended products. And I don't think there's anything else. So with that said, as I tell you guys now, just keep painting and crafting.